Too wild for any man, they said. Then a silent cowboy came into her life. In the small, dusty town of Dry Creek, everyone knew Eliza Carter. But most people did not call her by her real name. They called her Blaze, because she was fast, hot-tempered, and impossible to control. Eliza was not like other women in town. She did not wear fancy dresses or sit quietly on a porch. She worked on her ranch from sunrise to sunset. Her hands were rough, her face was strong, and her eyes were always sharp, like she was ready for a fight at any moment. People respected her, but they were also afraid of her. Many men had tried to impress her. Some brought flowers, some tried to show off their riding skills. A few even tried to tell her how to run her ranch. None of them stayed long. One man once said, "A woman like you needs someone to guide her." Eliza had looked him straight in the eyes and replied, "I guide myself." After that, he left town the very next day, so the people of Dry Creek made up their minds. "She's too wild for any man," they said. And Eliza was perfectly fine with that. Her ranch stood just outside the town, near open land where the wind never seemed to stop. It had once belonged to her father, a strong and kind man who taught her everything she knew, how to ride, how to work, and how to stand her ground. After he passed away, Eliza took over everything, alone. Many people thought she would fail, but she didn't. Instead, she became even stronger. She trained wild horses that no one else could handle. She fixed broken fences by herself. She made deals in town without letting anyone cheat her. And most of all, she trusted no one. Not anymore. One evening, the sky was painted in deep orange and red. The sun was slowly going down, and the air was quiet. Eliza was riding back from the far side of her land when she saw something unusual. A rider, far in the distance, coming toward Dry Creek. That was not strange by itself. Travelers came and went all the time. But this one felt different. He rode slowly, but with purpose. His back was straight. His movements were calm. His horse followed him without struggle. As he came closer, Eliza noticed more. His hat was low, hiding most of his face. His clothes were worn but clean. He carried very little with him. No extra bags, no signs of trade. Just a man and silence. Eliza stopped her horse and watched him. Something about him made her feel alert, not afraid, but aware. The stranger entered the town without saying a word. People noticed right away. The shopkeeper paused while counting coins. A group of men outside the saloon stopped talking. Even the sheriff looked up from his chair. The stranger did not greet anyone. He simply rode in, tied his horse, and stepped down. Calm, quiet, like he did not care who was watching. And everyone was watching. "Who is that?" someone whispered. "No idea," another replied. "But he don't look like trouble, just strange." The sheriff narrowed his eyes but said nothing. The stranger walked into the saloon. Still, no words. Eliza had followed him from a distance. She did not like strangers, especially quiet ones. Loud men were easy to understand. You could see their pride, their anger, their weakness. But quiet men? They were harder to read, and that made them dangerous. She tied her horse and stood outside the saloon for a moment, thinking. Then she stepped inside. The saloon was filled with low voices and soft music, but as soon as Eliza walked in, people moved slightly to give her space. That always happened. She scanned the room quickly, and there he was, sitting alone at a table in the corner, not drinking, not talking, just sitting, watching. His eyes moved slowly across the room, noticing everything, but reacting to nothing. Eliza frowned slightly. That was not normal. She walked closer, step by step. The wooden floor creaked under her boots. Still, the man did not move, did not look up, until she stopped right in front of him. Then, Slowly, he raised his eyes. For a moment, everything felt still. Eliza expected something, fear, challenge, attitude, but there was nothing. His eyes were calm, too calm. "New in town?" Eliza asked. Her voice was steady, strong. The man looked at her for a second, then gave a small nod. No words, just a nod. Eliza crossed her arms. "Got a name?" A short pause, then he spoke, low voice, quiet. "Cole." That was it, just one word. Eliza studied him carefully. Cole. No last name, no story, no explanation. Something about that annoyed her, but something else made her curious. Around them, the town slowly returned to its normal noise, but Eliza stayed there for a moment longer, looking at the silent cowboy who had just walked into Dry Creek, like he belonged there, or like he was waiting for something. And for the first time in a long while, Eliza Carter did not walk away first. Something had changed. She just didn't know it yet. After that evening in the saloon, the town of Dry Creek could not stop talking about the stranger. Cole. That was all he had said. No last name, no story, no past, just Cole. People tried to guess who he was. Some said he looked like a former soldier. Others believed he had been a bounty hunter. A few thought he was just a quiet traveler passing through. But no one really knew, because Cole did not talk much. The next morning, the town woke up early as always. Dust blew through the streets. Horses were tied outside shops. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air. And Cole was already awake. He stood near the stables, brushing his horse slowly and carefully. His movements were calm and steady. He did not rush anything. A stable boy watched him for a while, then finally asked, "You staying in town?" Cole paused for a second, then said quietly, "For now." That was all. The boy waited for more, but nothing came. By midday, Cole had already made a name for himself, not by talking, but by action. A loud argument broke out near the saloon. Two men were shouting, ready to fight. People gathered, expecting trouble. Before things got worse, Cole stepped forward. He didn't raise his voice, didn't threaten. He simply stood between them. His eyes were calm, but firm. Something about his presence made both men stop. One of them muttered, "This ain't your business." Cole didn't reply. He just looked at him. Seconds passed. Then, slowly, the anger faded. The two men backed away, each going in a different direction. The crowd was surprised. No fight, no noise, just silence. And somehow, peace. Eliza heard about it later that day. She was not impressed. "A man who doesn't talk much is hiding something," she said while fixing a fence on her ranch. Still, she couldn't ignore what she felt. Curiosity. It stayed in her mind. That afternoon, as the sun burned high in the sky, Eliza rode into town. She had supplies to buy, but her eyes were searching for someone else. She found him near the water trough. Cole was filling a bucket, helping an older man without being asked. No words, just helping. Eliza stopped her horse and watched him. Again, that strange feeling returned. He wasn't trying to show off. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was just doing things quietly. She walked up to him. "You work for everyone now?" she said. Her tone was sharp, a little challenging. Cole looked up at her. "No." Just one word again. Eliza raised an eyebrow. "Then why help?" Cole shrugged slightly. "Needed help." That simple answer made her pause. Most men in town would have given a long speech trying to sound important, but not him. Eliza stepped closer. "I don't like strangers," she said clearly. Cole nodded once. "I know." That surprised her. "You know?" He looked at her calmly. "Everyone knows." For a second, Eliza didn't know what to say. No one talked to her like that. Not without fear, not without trying to please her. But Cole? He spoke like it didn't matter, like her reputation meant nothing. She crossed her arms. "If you're planning to stay, you'll need work." Cole didn't respond right away. He waited, listening. Eliza continued, "My ranch needs help. Hard work, no easy pay." A short silence. Then Cole said, "I can work." Eliza studied him carefully. "You follow orders?" Cole looked at her. "No." That answer hit her like a surprise. Before she could react, he added, "But I do the job right." Eliza almost smiled. Almost. It had been a long time since someone answered her like that. Most men either argued too much or agreed too quickly. But Cole was different. "Fine," she said. "You start tomorrow, early." Cole nodded. No questions, no complaints. The next morning, Cole arrived at her ranch before sunrise. Eliza was already there, waiting. She handed him a list of tasks. Fix the fence, check the horses, clean the barn. Hard work. The kind that breaks most people. But Cole didn't argue. He simply started. Hours passed. The sun rose higher. And still, Cole worked. No breaks, no complaints, just quiet, steady effort. Eliza watched him from a distance. At first, she expected him to slow down, to fail. But he didn't. Everything he did well. Later, she brought out her most difficult horse, a wild stallion that no one could handle. "This one," she said. "Let's see what you can do." The horse was restless, angry, full of energy. Cole stepped closer. No fear, no force. He didn't shout, didn't pull. He just stood there, calm. Slowly, the horse began to relax. Not completely, but enough. Eliza stared. That had never happened before. Not like that. "Where did you learn that?" she asked. Cole gently stepped back. "On the road." That was all. Eliza felt something strange again. Not anger, not respect, something in between, for the first time in years. She met someone she could not control, and that made her restless. As the sun began to set, Eliza stood watching Cole work in silence. The wind moved through the land. Everything felt the same, yet different, because now there was someone on her land who did not fear her and did not try to change her. And Eliza Carter didn't know yet that this silent cowboy was about to change everything. The days at the ranch started to feel different, not easier, but steadier. Eliza still woke up before sunrise. She still worked hard, still gave orders, still kept her strong and sharp nature. But now she was not alone. Cole was always there, quiet, focused, reliable. He never complained, never asked questions, never tried to control anything. And somehow, that made everything run smoother. One cold morning, the sky was gray and heavy. The wind felt different. Eliza stepped outside her house and looked across the land. Something felt wrong. She could not explain it, but she trusted her instincts. "Something's coming," she said quietly. Cole, who was fixing a fence nearby, looked up. He didn't ask what. He just waited. Then it happened. Far in the distance, on the edge of the land, a group of riders appeared. Dark shapes against the pale sky, moving slowly, but directly toward the ranch. Eliza's eyes narrowed. She knew them, even from far away. Her hands tightened. "Not today," she whispered. The riders got closer. 5 men, rough, cold, dangerous. At their front was a man Eliza would never forget. Harlan Voss, a name that carried trouble wherever it went. He had once worked with her father, but after her father's death, everything changed. "They want the land," Eliza said, her voice hard. Cole stepped beside her, silent, watching. The riders stopped a short distance away. Harlan smiled, but there was no kindness in it. "Well, well," he said loudly. "Blaze Carter, Still holding on, I see. Eliza didn't smile back. This land is mine. You should turn around. Harlan chuckled. You always were stubborn, just like your father. That name hit something deep inside her, but she didn't show it. We made an offer before, Harlan continued. You refused. That was your mistake. Eliza stepped forward slightly. I'm not selling. The men behind Harlan shifted, ready for trouble. The air grew tense. The wind stopped. Everything felt still. Then Harlan noticed Cole. And who's this? He asked. You finally got yourself help? Eliza didn't answer. Cole didn't move. Harlan smirked. He don't talk? He mocked. Still no response. One of the men laughed. Looks like he don't matter either. That was a mistake. Cole took one slow step forward. Not fast, not loud, but enough. His presence changed the air. Harlan's smile faded just a little. He studied Cole more carefully now. Seen that look before, he muttered. You've been in fights. Cole didn't reply, but his eyes said enough. Eliza reached for her rifle. She had fought alone before. She could do it again. But this time, Cole stepped slightly in front of her, not blocking her, just standing with her. That small movement meant something. It said, "You're not alone." The tension broke. One of Harlan's men moved too quickly. Everything happened fast. Dust rose into the air. Boots shifted. Hands moved. But Cole was faster. Not wild, not angry, just precise. Every movement had purpose. Within moments, the fight ended before it could grow. No chaos, no shouting, just control. Harlan stepped back, his expression no longer confident. He looked at Cole, then at Eliza. This ain't over, he said coldly. Eliza didn't lower her weapon. It is for today. Harlan stared at her for a long moment, then turned his horse. The others followed. Slowly, they rode away. The land grew quiet again. Only the sound of the wind returned. Eliza stood still, watching them disappear. Her heart was still racing, not from fear, but from something else. She lowered her rifle and turned toward Cole. For a moment, she said nothing, just looked at him. You didn't have to do that, she finally said. Her voice was softer than usual. Cole shrugged slightly. Yes. Eliza frowned. Yes? He looked at her, calm, steady. I chose to. That answer stayed in the air. Simple, but strong. Eliza looked away for a second, thinking. Why? She asked. Not angry, not demanding, just curious. Cole was quiet for a moment. Then he said, You didn't ask me to leave. Eliza felt something shift inside her. That was not the answer she expected. Most men stayed for money, for pride, for control. But this was different. She looked back at him. For the first time, not as a worker, not as a stranger, but as someone she could trust. The sun slowly broke through the clouds. Light spread across the land again. The danger was gone, for now. But Eliza knew something clearly. Her past had returned, and it would come again. This time, though, she would not face it alone. And somewhere deep inside her, the woman who trusted no one had just started to change. The days after the fight were quiet, too quiet. Eliza could feel it. Trouble like Harlan Voss did not end easily. Men like him did not walk away forever. They waited, they planned, and then they came back stronger. Eliza stood near the fence, looking far across her land. The wind moved slowly through the grass. He'll return, she said. Cole stood beside her. He didn't ask who. He already knew. Life at the ranch continued, but something had changed. Eliza was still strong, still sharp, still fearless. But now, she spoke a little less harshly. She watched a little more carefully, and sometimes she listened. Cole stayed the same, quiet, calm, steady. He didn't try to lead, didn't try to take control. He just worked and stayed. One evening, as the sun began to set, a young boy from town came riding fast toward the ranch. His face was pale. "They're coming back!" he shouted. "More men this time!" Eliza didn't hesitate. "Go back to town. Stay inside," she told him. The boy nodded and rode away quickly. Eliza turned to Cole. "This ends today." Cole gave a small nod. They prepared the ranch, checked the fences, loaded their weapons, made a plan. Simple, clear, no fear, just readiness. As the sky turned dark, the sound of horses echoed again, this time louder, more riders, more danger. Harlan Voss returned, and he was not alone. They stopped at the edge of the land. Torches burned in the night air. Harlan stepped forward, his voice cold. "You had your chance, Blaze. This land ain't yours anymore." Eliza stood tall. "It always was." The wind picked up. Dust moved across the ground. The moment had come. The fight that followed was harder, longer, more intense. But Eliza was not the same woman as before, and she was not alone. She moved with strength and focus, not just anger, not just pride, but purpose. And Cole. He was right beside her, every step, every moment. He didn't speak, but his actions said everything. Together, they pushed back, step by step, until the riders began to fall back. Harlan realized something too late. This was not the same fight, not the same woman. His confidence broke. "You'll regret this!" he shouted. But Eliza didn't move, didn't chase. She just watched, and slowly. Harlan turned his horse and rode away, for the last time. The night became quiet again. The danger was gone. Eliza stood still, breathing deeply. The fight was over, finally. She lowered her weapon and turned to Cole. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The wind moved softly around them. "You stayed," she said. Her voice was calm, different now. Cole looked at her. "Yes." Eliza nodded slowly. Then she asked, "You could have left. Why didn't you?" Cole was quiet for a second. Then he said, "I don't leave things unfinished." Eliza looked at him closely. "But this is finished now." Cole didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked out across the land, then back at her. "Maybe," he said. That simple word made her pause. Eliza had spent her whole life standing alone, fighting alone, trusting no one. But now, that didn't feel right anymore. She stepped a little closer. "People say I'm too wild," she said quietly. Cole's expression didn't change. "I know." Eliza gave a small smile, not sharp, not challenging, just real. "They say no man can handle me." Cole looked at her calmly. "I'm not here to handle you." That answer stayed between them, strong, clear. Eliza felt something settle inside her, something she had never felt before. Not weakness, not control. Peace. The kind that didn't take her strength away, but made it stronger. The sky above them turned dark blue. Stars slowly appeared. For the first time in a long while, Eliza Carter did not feel like she had to fight everything. She looked at Cole again. "Still think I'm too wild?" she asked softly. Cole met her eyes, then said, "Not for me." Eliza didn't reply, but she didn't look away either. The wind moved across the land, calm now, free, just like her. Because Eliza Carter was never meant to be tamed, and Cole Ryder was never there to change her. He was there to stand beside her. And somehow, that made all the difference.